for the floor, you're going to measure 1/2 inches, all right, which is right here. If you look at your ruler, there's the end of the ruler, there's the number, the first number. You're measuring halfway between. So you're going to measure 1/2 inches across the bottom. So every 1/2 inch, I'm going to make a mark. And I'm going to do it up the sides. All right, so 1/2 inch across the bottom. Here it is. You can see that. Right, like that. Right, every 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to do it just down a little bit. There you go. Okay, and then I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the bottom to the horizon line, because you're obviously not going to have the floor in the sky. All right, so I'm only measuring to the horizon line. I'm ending when I see my point, and then I'm going to do the other side. Okay, and on this side, once again, I'm ending when I get to my horizon line, because there's no floor in the sky, ideally. Okay. So now is just kind of being organized about what you're going to do. You're going to start with the mark on the furthest left-hand side. I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to draw to the horizon line, and I'm going to not draw through my shapes. So if I see a shape, I'm not going to draw through it. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to go to my second mark, set it to the horizon line. Once again, not draw through my shapes. Okay, now I go to my third mark, set it to the horizon line. Not draw through my shapes. Are we like seeing a pattern here? Now I go to my fourth mark, set it to the vanishing point. Right, so they're all starting to converge over here, okay, as I'm going across. So this is really something that you need the ruler for versus like the T-square. The real key is not drawing through your shapes. Right, and it's going to start to get tight up here.
Where are the rulers at?
On the bookshelf, in the box that says rulers. Right, so it should start to look like something like this, right? How I'll have mine across and it's going to converge. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go from these points, we're going to go to the opposite point, and that's how you get that crisscross. All right. And then one last one up here. And if you have your tape in the way, just draw over your tape. I don't mind that happens. Okay, so once you've done across the bottom, now you're going to switch it. So you can start with the left-hand side again, or I'm going to flip it and I'm going to start with the right-hand side. And now I'm going to go to my left vanishing point. Don't draw through your shapes. Sometimes it's easier to draw like under your ruler versus on top of your ruler. You can see a little bit more clearly. That's what I'm doing right now. Still making sure my vanishing point is in my line of sight. I'm still making sure that I'm heading towards my 1/2 inch marks across the bottom. Now this is not like going to be mathematically like perfectly architecturally correct, because really if you were doing this mathematically correct, your squares would be converging too, and they're going to not do that with this. So this is, if you showed a math teacher this, they'd be like, well, that's not really right, but for our purposes here, this is fine.
All along, all of them. That means you didn't do it.
What's the matter? And we still have to do the sides, don't worry. Alright, so this is when you get the bottom done. It should look like this, right? I did both directions from my bottom 1/2 inch marks. Okay, now you have to do the sides to kind of finish out the whole thing. So you're going to start, I'm going to start on the left because I've just been kind of doing that today. So I'm going to start with my left lowest mark, and now I'm going to go to my vanishing point on the right. And this will give you the rest of your floor. Don't draw through your shapes. All right, so then my next mark. It does not really matter what order you do this in. If you want to do the sides first and then do the bottom, it all gets done at the end. I just think it's easier to kind of see the bottom first, and then you know that you have your sides left. Yep, make a pass. Okay, so now you see I got my sides filled in, so now I'm going to do the right hand side. I'm at my 1/2 inch mark, starting at the bottom. I can see my vanishing point on the left. I'm not going to draw through any shapes. I'm going to draw under my ruler so I can see this better. I don't know about you guys, but my arm is tired from holding my ruler down so tightly. I think I just drew through my wall. Okay, one more. So the floor is kind of really what gives this like that sense of like distance and like stuff happening in the distance. Plus you can't do the trapdoor without doing your floor first. All right, so once your floor is done, it should look something kind of like this. You're going to do your trapdoor. Your trapdoor is an area over here. It should be to the left of your canoe. Hopefully you have some space. And what you're going to do is you're just going to erase like a group of 9 boxes. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to erase the grid out of that 9. All right, and kind of fix it up. All right, and then you're going to take your T-square, once you have that section erased out, have it up against your paper, and I'm just going to draw a straight line down from my corner. So it looks like it's kind of this like downward angle, and then color that in. If you wanted to do 12, you could do that too. This kind of only works in multiples of 3, so just make sure that you're doing like 12, 9, 12, somewhere along those lines. All right, so that's your trapdoor right there. So like I said, you can't do the trapdoor until you get the floor done, because you're just going to remove some of your floor. All right, and then the last big thing we have is the big box in the back. If you haven't noticed that, there's like a kind of like this big large block that happens in the back of everything. So I'm going to use my T-square. I'm going to draw my center. Right, but I'm going to do it between my wall and my tower. Bring it down. I'm going to have to erase some of the floor, but that's okay. All right, so that's my bottom right there. I'm going to bring it out behind the tower. Oh, let me set that up. Make sure it's going to your vanishing point. I almost forgot. So you're going to go behind the tower, somewhere and kind of near the checkerboard box. And then this is my bottom. That's going to my vanishing point behind the tower. And then do that. And then I'm going to erase all of this in here.
This and this. Oh, okay.
All right, and now I have to do the other side of my big box. So I'm going to go behind the open flaps. Come right here. My bottom edge is just going to go behind the wall, like for short little mark. And then just bring this down somewhere behind your long wall. So just like that. Okay, so that is our drawing. So we have the floor, trapdoor, and then the big box that's kind of behind everything at the end.